Hey y'all, it's Anime Cameron, and today I'm going to be reviewing Mugen no Juunin Immortal Episode 1. And I gotta say, I actually like the premise about this series where it's going to be a revenge quest for Rin because it shows us flashbacks, and I like how this episode doesn't dick around because it presents important bits each and every sequence because we learn that our main character, Rin, her parents were pretty much slaughtered by this samurai and his 30 underlings, and pretty much the father was killed and the mother was captured alive only to then be raped and then killed afterwards. So right off the bat, I like it because automatically this episode gives you sympathy for our main female protagonist, Rin, and it kind of makes you want to root for her. So right off the bat, does a good job of making her into a sympathetic character. Then on top of that, I like how this episode also introduces the other main character, Mr. Manji, where this dude's an immortal, but he ends he ends up in a situation where his sister gets involved into one of the sword fights, and she dies parts ways in, and all that kind of jazz. And then it's mentioned that the main character, he wants to slay people that are evil or wicked to atone for his sins. And also Mr. Manji is an immortal. And that's also what I like about this episode. It has another protagonist with his own goals, and his goals are just going to somewhat collide with Ren's because the people that killed Ren's parents were wicked people. So I also like that too. At the very least, these are character goals that you can both root for both of these characters. So that's why I thought the script in this episode was pretty strong. It made you root for both of them. Then on top of that, there wasn't a single dull moment. If anything, I'd say one of the downs of this episode was it kind of felt a bit too quick at times. For example, well, yes, we get to see the slaughter of Ren's parents. I felt that it went a bit too quick. I would have loved to, at the very least, get the scene more drawn out. Maybe see the father and the mother interact with Ren at least right before they get slaughtered. Because of the way they handle it, you care about Ren because you feel bad for her, but you don't care about the people that were slaughtered. Because animes, they do it right. They space out the first episode, they make you care about the character, and then when they get slaughtered, you care. Here, they don't do that. They just go down the feet running without any sense of pace. So it feels like it's going too quick. Then on top of that, you have Rin who wants to hire this bodyguard to help her out because while she trained in sword, when she trained utilizing the sword, it was only for 2 years. But the thing is, though, the people that killed her parents have a lot of resources, so she needs a bodyguard. So this old lady tells her to find this person who slayed 100 men, and this is where it gets rushed again. You see her asking some clues where to find this man. And literally we go from that, a few montages, and immediately, boom, she finds Mr. Manji. And it feels like this anime goes from point A to point C with no point B in between. And that's where it kind of feels a bit too quick, and it should breathe more. But aside from those two instances, though, this episode felt properly paced. Because, never mind. Actually, there was one instance. Then after Rin meets Mr. Manji, she tries to convince Mr. Manji to help her out, and she does. But then afterwards, they find the first target, and again, it feels a bit too quick. It's just goes from boom, 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 because you don't see them do much deductive or inductive reasoning of finding one of the first few targets. Literally, Mr. Manji agrees to help Rin out because Rin offers her body, but Mr. Manji's not interested in that. He's only interested in slaying wicked people. But then afterwards, you transition and they get into a fight with one of the wicked samurai, and then I'm just like, okay, this is definitely going way too quick. Please, anime, just slow the hell down, please. That's pretty much what I'm thinking while watching this episode. But when it does get to the fight against the evil samurai, it was an interesting fight scene for the most part. I enjoyed it. And the episode ends off with one of the targets being killed. So we did make some good plot progression. And we find out the main character is an immortal. So from a story standpoint, even though it felt way too fucking quick, at the very least, the story bits were interesting. And we made a lot of plot progression even though it was too quick. Then on top of that, I thought the characters were pretty nice. With Ren, you understand her goal, you support it, and then for our main character, Mr. Mondra, you support his goal. So I found that to be pretty interesting. And then the animation and art were pretty nice too, and I liked the voice performances. And if I were to give it a rating of a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being abysmal, 10 being exceptional, and 5 being average, I'm going to rate it at 7.5 out of 10. I thought this episode specifically was a bit above average, actually. I thought it was 2.5 points above average. So, and I liked it. It just, this episode could have been like a 9 or 10 if it would have just like slowed things down a bit more. This definitely would have been higher up, but so far I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. So anyways, y'all, these are my thoughts on the episode. Be sure to comment on your thoughts on how you felt about my review of the episode in the comment section below. Rate the video, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys later if you come back for more. Alright, y'all. Have a great and safe day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.